Hey friends, thanks so much for joining me today. We are going to look at how to take a new handle and install it in an old head. Okay folks, so the first thing you need to do is you need to make sure all the handle and all the remnants are out of that old head. This is a splitting maul that I use to split firewood, and the handle broke, and so I need to fix it. So I could have got a new wooden handle. Could have gotten a new wooden handle, but I chose instead to get a fiberglass one. It's a little bit more expensive, but I think it'll do a really good job for me. So the process of this is pretty simple. It just has some steps. So here is the directions that come in this box that was taped to the side of the handle. Not that complicated. What we have here is we have some epoxy that we are going to mix in a little cup. Then we are going to set the head upside down. We're going to put tape on the one side, set it up on a block so that the axe head part of it, the splitting part, doesn't impede as it's sitting on the table. We're going to set it there. Then we're going to take the axe head, or the handle, excuse me, and push it into the axe head. Now these have some little teeth on them, so they might be a little bit hard to get in there. I might have to do some pounding on the handle just to get it to sit in there. Before we do that, we're going to take that epoxy, pour it in. It's going to be about 2/3 full. Then we're going to push this in, and that's it. We're going to let it dry. We're going to set something against it so that the handle doesn't kind of tilt over to the side, and that'll be it. So let's go ahead and get started and let's do it. Like I said, I'm going to take the top of the head. It has the number and it has where it was made, or the company. It was made by Iron City. This is a really old splitting maul. I don't even know how old it is, but the markings on it are that it's a 6-pound head and it has a K on the bottom side. I don't know what that means, but I'd like to do some research and find it out. But it was made by the Iron City company, it looks like. So before I'm going to put any epoxy in this, I went and took sandpaper and sanded the inside to try to get some of that old rust out. And I got quite a bit of it out, so now I'm ready to take some tape and cover up the top part. And I'm gonna do more than one layer, just because I don't like to be surprised by things mid-process. So I'm going to take 2 layers and cover that hole. I'm going to actually wrap that a little bit onto the side so it stays put really good. So then I'm going to turn it over. Now I need to mix up my epoxy. Pour it in here till it's 2/3. Then put this in. Like I said, I'm probably gonna have to pound on it a little bit to get it to go in, and then we'll let it set up. Probably not a bad idea to use some gloves when you're doing this. I should have put some on. They even gave you a little stick to stir it with. Now I'm just gonna stir this up, mix it up really good, so I can't tell a difference between the 2 colors. It's all one color. That's where epoxy gets its strength. One part's hardener and the other part's the glue. It'll harden up really hard. Okay, we're ready to pour it in. Like I said, about 2/3 full. Pretty good. We're down pretty far. You can see the epoxy kind of leaking out. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I wipe that up at the very end because this stuff dries really, really hard. So I wanna get that wiped up. Okay, we are down to where we need to be and call that good. We're gonna let that dry and then we will come back. I'm gonna let it dry overnight and then we'll come back tomorrow and we'll test it out. All right, folks, so here we go. It's been about 23 hours or so. They said to wait 24. I think 23 is okay. And so we have the epoxy has dried really, really hard. Now, I made a mistake on this. One of the things that I did is I didn't get it all the way to that seal. So that was on me. That's my mistake. We'll see how it works. I think it'll work just fine, but we'll see how it goes. Going forward, I'll know that I should test fit this first. This is a really old head, so it's probably a little bit smaller than contemporary heads on splitting mauls. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So I'm gonna peel that tape off and then I'm probably gonna try to use it and see how it works. That epoxy dried really, really hard. And so we'll see what it looks like inside. Okay, folks, so after peeling this tape off, I couldn't get it down any farther because the fiberglass part right there is flush with the top. So that's what they say to do is take a piece, put a piece of tape, stick it on a block, and then push that down. So moving forward, if I do this again, I'll probably want to take and cut off that top of it so it fits down tighter. And like I said, this is a really old head, so maybe a newer head might be thicker this way. It's hard to tell. But moving forward, I'll want to test fit first next time I do that before I put the epoxy in. So there you go, folks. I'm going to finish peeling off this tape and then go test it out. And I imagine it'll work just fine. It feels pretty tight. The weight on it's pretty good. So I imagine it'll be just fine. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Make sure to work hard in all that you do because hard work is its own reward. Thanks for watching.